What's up, everybody? This is Ricardo Rodriguez.
And Matthew Messick.
And this is
the Profits Over Wages podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Profits Over Wages podcast, where we do weekly interviews with highly successful business owners and entrepreneurs. We discuss life, business, and entrepreneurship to bring forward the lessons learned from success and failure, and most importantly, have fun while doing it. On episode 48 of the podcast, we sit down with Baxtie Rodriguez. She is a licensed managing broker, licensed general contractor, consultant, and a licensed home inspector. Baxtie has been a realtor since 2001 and has owned and managed multiple brokerages since. Lastly, she is the founder of Baxtie Development Group, a house flipping business, and Bax Home Inspectors, a company that provides home inspection services to the general public. On this episode, we talk about how real estate brokerages are changing from satellite offices to main offices that provide training, support, and a family-like environment. Baxtie shares advice for new brokers on how to take their business to the next level and how she's able to run a family business so well with her son and daughter. Enjoy the show. But yeah, like for those that are not familiar with who you are, if you can kind of just tell us like who you are and what you do.
Okay, so I'm Baxtie Rodriguez. I am an owner, founder of Bax Development Group, and we have two divisions in our company. We offer home inspection services to buyers and sellers, and we offer property renovation and consulting services to flippers or anyone who wants to renovate a property. It could be for themselves, if they want to build their own home, or if they want to flip properties. So first-time flippers, we consult them.
Okay. But you started flipping mostly, right?
Yeah. So I started in 2001. I started as actually managing broker in 2001. And so after maybe 2 years, I started flipping. And since 2001 till today, I still flip properties.
So you're a managing broker?
I was a managing broker, yeah. I own my own company, my own real estate office. So simultaneously flipping properties and selling properties. And
you said 2002?
2001. So we're talking 17 years. Yeah. So I owned my own company till about 2008. And then I closed the real estate shop, the sales shop, and started managing other people's offices, Century 21, Remax, Sotheby's, and then shortly after, my passion was in the flip, so I just focused on the flip. And today we still flip 1 or 2 or 3 a year, but we're concentrating on consulting and helping others flip. I've been doing it for so long that I feel like I'm in the position where I need to start teaching people and passing on the knowledge and helping people succeed.
Do you also do rentals?
No rentals. Just pure flipping, and I don't sell either. I don't service buyers and sellers, but I have that knowledge in what I do. So when I assist you in renovating a property or consult you, I do look at the market. I do study the market. I do tell you what I see. I do the comps. I study the property. I put scopes together, and I give you different scenarios on if you do this little of a project, this is your rate of return. If you're going to do an addition, do you need to do an addition to get that rate of return? Some people put their heart into the projects. They want to build something beautiful, but they lose money. And that's where I kind of help them and guide them to what's the best way to do this project and earn your highest return.
Okay, so let's go back a little bit. You said you were managing offices for other managing brokers?
Yes.
You would just be like the office manager sort of thing?
No, I was the managing broker. So I ran the offices for them.
The sponsoring broker, right?
Exactly.
Oh, gotcha.
Century 21 affiliated. I had 2 of their offices. I had a Remax back in 2002. When I first started, I started as a managing broker for Remax. And then I opened my own, which was called Bax Properties at the time.
So you were helping them manage. How many brokers did you have at Century 21?
Oh, wow. So we were probably, when I left them, when I started, it was about 18, and when I left them, it was about a good 40, because we were acquiring offices. So we acquired a couple offices, and then when I left, it was
like
double.
other Remax offices?
Yeah, Century 21 was acquiring. Century 21 affiliated was acquiring other offices back 5 years ago, and now they're like 85.
So they're just like smaller brokerages?
Yeah, so offices that weren't doing so well, they would acquire them. They just had a great program.
I'm curious, because we just started a brokerage, so I'm like, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, whatever you guys need. If you need, like infrastructure, if you want me to get in there and, give you some ideas and how to be paperless. Right?
Yeah.
Paperless and marketing. You guys got the marketing with the video. Everything is video now. So you're doing phenomenal. Yeah.
But like, what were you doing to grow it from 15, 18 to like 40 or 60? Like
Totally different market than what it was today. And I love to see the transformation from when I, 01 to back then, that was like 2010 when I was doing Century 21. Was it? No, it was about 5 years ago. So it was 2013 to now. Such a difference. So I feel like we're going back to the basics with the real estate brokerage. So in the beginning, we all wanted offices. My first office was Remax. I paid rent 100% commission and paid rent. So that's a whole totally different environment.
$1,000 a month kind of thing.
Yeah, I was paying $1,200 at the time. So I was recruiting people that just started with that ambition. I'm going to get this going, and they just didn't need as much. And then we went to that virtual way of, satellite offices. Remember that? Yeah. So it's still happening, but I think now there's a need to go back into the office. I think people or new realtors want that family atmosphere.
Yeah. One of the biggest things, because we're bringing a lot of, not a lot, but we have 8. We just brought another person yesterday, actually. Mm-hmm. So we have 8 right now.
And when did you open your office?
Technically,
like actual office? It hasn't even opened yet.
Phenomenal.
The build-out's almost done, probably end of next week.
Yeah, it feels like a glove, right? Like it's just meant to do this.
Yeah.
When you open up and you have all these agents just waiting for you to open up. And that's what happened when I started real estate in 01. I just like that. It was like, this is meant to be for me. The first
I don't
year
know, I just feel like I'm not a broker. Mm-hmm. Or I am a licensed realtor, but I haven't been a broker for a long time.
Right.
So I've never actually been at an office. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, I feel like that helps us in a way that we're able to look at the actual business from the value and the actual business point of view, rather than bringing old bad habits into it. You know what I mean?
This is like an investor opening a brokerage with no broker knowledge. So then you come in it from a different perspective.
Yeah. So we're trying to bring them literally as much value as possible. Where honestly, all we want them to do is just sell.
Right.
We want them to be professional salesmen or saleswomen. Mm-hmm. And we try to automate literally everything that they do, so all they have to focus on is just literally selling.
Right.
And I feel like that's one of the biggest things that we're seeing, when bringing people over, where one of the things that, like you were saying, one of the things that they're missing is support, community, and a lot of them feel like they're just literally on their own.
Right.
You're paying $1,200 a month, and you have nobody to talk to.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But it worked. It worked then.
So
then I think we went into the satellite way of doing things where nobody wanted to come to the office, and now everyone's looking for that training. You got training.
You look at Kale right here on Ashland. They have 600 brokers in a little 2-flat.
Right. Yeah. Charles Ruttenberg. Mm-hmm. They have 800 agents, and everyone's satellite. No one comes to the office. So, but I see the reason why I'm saying this out there when I'm in the field and I'm speaking to realtors. A lot of my clients for the flipping consultation are realtors, and I ask, why did you leave that office? I'm always asking, and the number one reason is training, lack of training. I need an office. I need somewhere to go. So they're seeking it.
It's a hard business, right? When you go to the classes, they don't really teach you how to do the actual business. They just teach you how to not get in trouble.
Right, exactly.
And then when you get out there, you're like, if you've never sold anything in your life, you're like, where do I even get started?
Exactly.
How do I even get my own leads? Even if brokerage promise you leads, you're most likely never going to get that many.
Right.
So you got to go out and kind of do it on your own. And I could see what you mean by brokers wanting to have a sense of community, have a sense of their managing broker or their office providing them a lot of support, right?
Exactly.
Because a lot of new brokers, you think you're kind of getting a job, you're like, I'm going to get my license and I can start working. But what you're actually doing is you're opening a business, because being a broker is a business, you got to put money into the leads. Right. You money for marketing and other things. And it's basically a startup business.
I mean, by the time you start, you're already negative 5,000.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's an expensive business, but you guys have an edge because you already got that presence in social media, and any realtor that tells me that they're not on Facebook or LinkedIn, I say, what are you guys doing?
That's a big
Why not?
I mean, unless you're really involved in your community, you have to have a social media presence. Unless you're that old school realtor that goes to all the baseball games, soccer games, you do charity events in your community, you host all kinds of things, and people actually know you need some sort of social media presence.
Absolutely.
But let's go back to rehabbing, how did you get started rehabbing like on your own? Like, were you the one managing the projects like from the get-go?
Okay, so I'll tell you the story.
Yeah.
In '01, what brought me to real estate to begin with is a divorce, right? It's a divorce. So I had to find a job that allowed me to take my kids to school. I need flexibility and even bring them to work with me. So raising 3 children, real estate was the only answer. And then, so after the divorce, and we had to switch homes to be more affordable, what we did is our first home was our first flip. So I would move to these homes and rehab them, flip them, and then move to the next home. And that's how I started. And then I just saw how well I did, and it just went from there on. So that's how I started. It was really a form of survival.
Kind of thrown into the fire.
Yeah, I had to figure out something, and how can I make good money? And so we all started in a 2-bedroom condo on Dickens in Harlem. A 2-bedroom condo, so 4 of us. So I made the living room their bedroom, and then my daughter had the other bedroom, and then I had the bedroom and the kitchen. And we rehabbed it, and within 6 months, I don't know how we did it. I don't know how we lived in there. And because we did it room by room, rehabbed in 6 months, I made like a good 30 grand
nice
profit, my first deal. And I said, wow, I like this. And so that's where it started. And we moved to the next one, and then the next one. And then, we just did our last home, and we were home-based business. So me and my kids work together. This is a family business. So my son is here by my side. And we were there. So we just built our own home. And we have our home-based business, and this is how I survived.
Because I saw this last one that you did, where you actually moved into.
The blue one, yeah.
Did you know that you were going to move into it, or did you realize that you were going to move into it after you were done with it? You're like, damn.
Yeah.
I did such a good job. I don't want to sell it.
Exactly. And that's my problem in every project. I really put my heart and soul in every home. And it's a bad habit because, you're not supposed to do that. Yeah, I do. So every property I sold in Berwyn and Cicero, I honestly can pass by those homes and feel proud because I know I stripped to the studs. I did the insulation. I did not put any siding over siding. I didn't cover it. It's not a lipstick on a pig project.
It's funny. The rehab and summit that we did that we were talking about earlier, so we had the pipes freeze, and like we were already finished. It was on the market. In the middle of the winter, one of the coldest days, the furnace went out. Luckily, I was walking the projects, and we realized that the pipes were frozen, and there was like water coming out of everywhere. And we actually, because you have to rip the walls to see like where the pipes are and replace them and all that. We ripped this wall in the living room, and there was siding inside of it.
Yeah.
And we're like, wait, what?
But you bought it. You didn't.
Yeah, we had no idea. No. I mean,
not all of them
funny,
require it to be stripped to the studs. But I don't know why I picked. It's like I like the most challenging projects. So, and maybe because they're the more cheaper to obtain. But I would
There's
pick
a lot
the
less
ones,
competition, that's for sure.
There is. People don't want the challenge. But I would pick the most challenging ones that had to be stripped to the studs. And the studs under it has to be reinforced or replaced. And those are the projects I ended up with. But I love them. I'll do it again. If I had to do it again, I'll do it the same way. Just not put so much of my heart into it because it's not always going to be for me.
Because this one is right across the street from like a golf course, right?
Course, yeah.
So like
it's amazing. And it was a flip. I did not intend to live in this property, but I'm trying to take a break from flipping. So I said, let me just stop here, And we love it, and we went all out. I mean, with the insulation, with the structure, we did an up addition. We went back.
Yeah, I know I saw the pictures on Facebook.
Yeah.
It was just pretty much a brand new house.
I love it. I love the house.
Hey, how many of these houses did you live in that you flipped?
I did Oak Park. I did Dickens, Oak Park, and the Cicero ones. But they were already grown when I did Cicero. So I did a couple with my sister. And Cicero, after the crash in 2010, we actually lived in those projects. So I lived in about 5 of them that I flipped. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Did you have any construction background prior to doing this?
No.
So just
I just figured it out. That's me. I have a passion for learning new things. So if I don't know about it, I want to do it more, And then I just like to analyze. I'm a big, again, I don't think a lot of flippers would do it the way I did, and I like it. I think it's good for you to just learn about materials. I mean, down to the studs, down to what kind of nails we need for this and that.
Right.
How many nails do we need, for the drywall, and how many pieces of drywall. So I got into all the analyticals of
deep,
it.
yeah.
Deep.
At what point did you decide to get your inspector license, and then why did you make that decision?
2 years ago, when I was going out and I opened up for GCing to the public. And I see myself doing all these quotes, and I thought, it's time I should get paid for these quotes. I know a lot of companies out there are charging for quotes, but I wasn't.
There's a few companies that charge like $500 just to come out.
Exactly. So that's something I'm considering in the future. But I didn't charge. I didn't dare charge. So I said I need to put myself in a position, because now I'm at the point where my time is valuable. So whenever I go out, I need to feel like, you're
getting your money's worth.
I got my money's worth.
Or you're not just doing quotes for somebody who's never actually even going to do the deal.
Exactly. So I got to be careful with those who don't even own the property. You have to own the property if you're going to call me out. Sometimes they want me to come out, and it's a property that they're thinking of buying.
Yeah, like they just got the offer accepted, and we're like, hey, can you
or
come
not
out?
even that.
Not even
that. And I learned that later, and so now we're checking to make sure you're owners. And if you're not, it's okay, but pay us. Don't take our time, because putting together a quote is a lot of time, and I think people underestimate that. If you want a good quote, if you want me to give you a real quote and not change it later, you're going to be upset with me later because I didn't add this or that. Give me the time to measure.
That's what a lot of contractors do too. Like they just give you like a general quote, and then later on hit you with change orders.
And that's where I come in as a consultant, and that's how I protect people. And I say, if you hire a third party that, has nothing to do with the construction side, we're just teaching you and educating you how, educating you on the market and the best way of remodeling this home for the highest profit possible. You need someone that's biased, someone that's a third party.
Was that the reason why you decided to do inspect, besides just, doing all the quotes and doing all that? Yeah. Did you decide to start doing the inspection business because of that, or
no I decided to do inspection because I felt like we have all the qualifications to properly inspect with all the building knowledge and all the experience we have, and I got my license. I feel like I got licensed to do what I already do, when I do quotes, because I'm already looking at the property as an inspector. And I'll tell you another thing. When I became a realtor in 2001, I actually went for my inspection class back in 2001. 17 years ago, because I felt the more I know about this property, the more I know about the anatomy of a home, the better I can sell. And I really believe... Because
people ask you questions too, like when you're walking through a house and you're like, is that okay? You're like,
sure. Well, I'm the one that will walk you through the house and tell you all the bad about this house first. Yeah. And at the end, I'll say, okay, let's look at the numbers. So does the bad add up? Are you getting a good deal? How much is it worth? So I was that realtor that showed you all the negatives first and wrapped it up with the positive. Okay. So it's different styles. But I felt like the more I know about the anatomy of a home, the better of a realtor I'll be. Another thing I did is I became a lender. For a short time, just to know. I worked with Jesus Jimenez. I don't know if you know who he is. 17 years ago. He's still my lender today.
And he's a mortgage broker?
He's a mortgage broker, the best. So I, learned. I joined him just to learn the process of, loans. And again, the more I know about money, the better I can service my client. The more I know about the anatomy of a home, the better I can service my client. And that's what I think was my secret to my success in sales.
But you're not a practicing broker anymore, right?
I'm not practicing.
You're still
sales.
licensed?
I'm licensed managing broker, and I'm out there helping real estate offices, and I do lunch and learn with brokers, and I do home buyer seminars, and I just team up with brokerage offices to educate realtors. Again, I've been here for so long that I feel like this is where I got to be. I got to educate. I can't just sell anymore. I got to teach people how to sell.
Hold on. So you're a broker, GC, inspector.
That's it. Licensed broker, a licensed managing broker, a licensed general contractor, and a licensed home inspector. Yeah.
And a flipper?
It's just a love for real estate, 100%, all around. Mm-hmm.
And when did you decide to do the consulting? Because that's sort of like the thing that you're mostly focused on right now, right? Besides the inspection. Right.
So 2 years ago, I opened up for GCing, and I don't enjoy GCing, not whole projects like that. So I said, I'd rather be a consultant and teach people how to GC. It's just a lot of work. I felt like I think I'm more valuable with my time. And if you use me one time, if you want to flip, all you need, if I do a good job, you only need me once. Because then you could take my method and do it again on your own. And at a fraction of a cost that you would go to school for. Because they have these schools charging $10,000 to $20,000 to teach you what I can teach you hands-on. Am I too close?
No, it's just sometimes there's like a weird static for some reason.
Okay.
So you're consulting people who want to invest on how to manage their own projects?
Exactly. If you're a flipper, you want to be a flipper, flipping 101.
So what do you charge for like a consultation, and then what does that all like include in the process? If someone, say wanted to hire you, like,
well, if they hire me, there's really no consultation like initial fee. It's just I'll tell you what I do for you, and then you hire me. So normally it's about $2,500, right? And then for $2,500, what I do is, again, I evaluate the home, the market. I evaluate the scope, the project. I give you different options. And you can spend the last person that came for me, that called me, again, 99.9% are realtors that are already flipping. And they always call me when they're in trouble. And I wish they would call me before you're in trouble, because I would save you so much money. So they have this beautiful blueprint of a second edition, just like what I did on my home across the golf course. Second edition, and then extension edition. And they didn't.
That's a big project.
It's huge, man. And so they had a price of $200,000, but I said it's going to cost you more, because if you're not GCing it, if you're hiring a GC, but it wasn't all done with the contract.
How big is the addition in the back?
Oh, it's like a good maybe 8 feet back. It was in Humboldt Park, but then you were doing the whole upstairs. So I calculated $235. You're not going to spend $200, not hiring a GC. So that contract was.
Is that with just a crawl space in the back?
Yeah. The contract was very not complete, and a deposit of $50,000 was paid. Ooh. And 6 months later, nothing happened, and they're still dealing with the permit. And so they paid about, $6,000 for this blueprint. So when I came, I said, guys, you bought it for $165. You're spending $200. We're at $365. The comps was probably at $425. And after maintenance and commission, I think the commission was probably about $20,000. So I got them to leave the property as is. Don't change. Don't do the addition. Spend about $150, and they're at $80,000 profit today.
See, that's why we spend like $8,500 in plants and permits.
Yeah,
we get them back. After once we submit them, we'll get them back in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
If tops.
But you do the analysis. It's really important that you do the comps and you understand the market.
Oh, yeah.
Just because you're in a certain area, Logan Square, there's good parts and there's parts that are not there yet, right? Not the whole.
Closer to Pulaski.
Exactly.
And Hermitage is just not there yet. But if you're closer to the square, of course.
Exactly. So I think they were using the figures or the comps for closer to this side, to the California side versus the Pulaski side. Yeah. and they went and paid and went 6 months later, they're calling me for help. And I got them out of a jam, and now they're profiting about $80,000. So,
yeah, we looked at a deal recently over here, just actually like 5 minutes from here, and they're grabbing comps from this side of Montrose.
Yeah,
this side of Montrose is a different park. That side of Montrose is Albany Park. So the difference between here and there is like $100,000, even though if it's the same house, different school district, different everything. Yeah. And they asked me like. They said how much it was worth, and they're like, yeah, it's like $650, $600. I'm like, this is like $575. Yeah. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, look at the comps. Like you're looking at stuff that's south of Montrose, but they were already like way deep into it.
It was funny because it was two deals, and they had the ARV at the same, because they're literally on the same street.
Yeah, they're on the same street,
but blocks different. So you're like, okay, they're the same comps, but it's just because that dividing line, there's like it drops like $75,000 in the ARV.
Right. Yeah, so you need someone to really evaluate the market for you before you start.
That's funny though. That's a realtor that did that.
Yeah, it happens. It happens a lot, and I think it's because again they're smart, they're sharp, but they just put their heart and soul into creating this ugly duckly, making this ugly duckly a beautiful swan, and people want to get into that creation, and they fall into not profiting as much.
That's crazy. What's next for you? Like, are you going to keep consulting?
Yeah, I'm focusing on the inspection and the consulting because it goes hand in hand. It goes. It's almost. I feel like I'm almost doing the same. Consultation is actually more work for me, but home inspection is fun. I enjoy it. We are all enjoying it. It's a family business. My kids. I found something that we all like. My children and I. So my daughter is the person at the office. So
you like inspecting houses?
Yeah. He
Getting
does
on the
the drone.
roof.
He's a GC
Oh, you guys don't walk on the roof no more?
No, I don't walk roofs. I do not walk roofs. I have a drone. I got my drone license.
Yeah, so you're sitting next to Baxtie, is her son, who, you guys, it's a family business, like she was saying.
Yes, yeah. So, I didn't introduce myself earlier. I'm Michael Ramos, I'm Baxtie's son. And, so what I do with the inspections is I have my drone pilot license.
Oh, cool.
So I have a drone that I fly over the roof, I take photos of the whole property, I do the whole outside, and then I go inside and I help her with the electrical panels and the furnaces, getting everything open, making sure we're checking everything like that, and going up into the attic, crawl spaces. So it's fun to help people out, and seeing everything in the house and everything.
Do you guys work mostly with like retail buyers? Is that what you guys is focused mostly on? Or
it's really everywhere. It's anybody that's looking for a home inspection. We go everywhere. Like we'll drive like a good hour away from our house just to do one. And because I grew up through this whole real estate my whole life. I've just been.
You pretty much grew up in rehabs.
I grew, yeah. I grew up in it. Yeah, so I grew up seeing home inspectors coming in and out, and I was like, man, that guy's got like the best job out of all you. He just runs through here and writes a report.
Just talk shit the entire
that's
time.
it. Like, okay, this is wrong. Go fix it. Bye. It's perfect.
Pay me my $500.
Right, exactly. And so that's why I was like really interested in it, and we got into it. And then the way I feel like we do things way differently, because we've seen other inspectors come in. Like I had one, we were doing an inspection, like I was getting into school for it, and we hired an inspector to look at one of our properties, and he came into the door, and I'm like, hey, I wanted to talk to him, like, hey, I just want to shadow you. Can you show me some of the things that you see so that, I can get a better understanding for when I take my classes. And he just blew right past me, you know what I mean? And he was just like, no, he just wants to look at this. He was like, oh, you'll see it on the report. Didn't want to talk to me, you know what I mean? Jeez. It's like, what kind of customer service is that? So with the way that we do things with the duals is, she's more customer service, than I'm more mechanical service, so I'm just going through and doing the harder points, and she's walking with the customer and and educating them. It's all about education and safety, so it's like divide and conquer, so
yeah. What are some of the most common things that you guys see when you're inspecting houses, to help out home buyers or people are looking to maybe buy a house?
I think gutters, downspouts, with foundation, when people are, when you have the gutters outside and you're trying to, when it's raining, you want it to get that out of the house. Yeah. They have the rainwater downspouting right on their foundation. You got to pitch that away.
Don't have the extension.
Right. Yeah. You just be 5 feet away, so the water is safely being drained into the earth, so it's not.
I feel like that's a very easy fix.
It's a super easy fix, and I see it every single time. Or, if it's not on the foundation, they'll have a roof that's, has a fancy, way that it's with the bump outs and everything, where the gutters are pouring directly onto the roof. So that those parts of the roof are going to deteriorate a little bit faster because you're constantly funneling water right on top of them every time it rains. Yeah. So there's little things that, can really cause a lot more money later on down the line. Another big thing that I see everywhere is the ventilation of the roof. You go up in the roof. If the roof is 10 degrees hotter than the exterior of the house, then that roof is in danger of becoming damaged sooner. Because you got to think this: your roof is constantly getting hit by the sun,
right?
And if your attic is really hot, so it's getting heat from both sides, you have those nails are going to start lifting up, and that's how you start seeing the shingles curling, is because they're just being hit by so much heat.
Right. They look like Fritos,
right? Yeah. So you got to add more ventilation to keep your roof cool. So you want to, that's a big thing. No, but who goes in the attic?
Takes temperature.
Yeah, no one does that. No one does that. So that's why it's better to have us come in and let you know. It could save you what a roof can go for
$6,000,
$6,000 to $10,000, depending on how big your roof is,
right.
So and all you have to do is cut 2 more holes up there, and boom, you're done.
Yeah.
So
I guess since we're in this topic, what are other things? Say somebody's trying to sell their house. What are some of the things that, I guess, going back to the common things that you see? Mm-hmm. What are other simple little fixes that people can make before they sell their house, and they kind of avoid getting into like, you know, once somebody gets an inspection report, a buyer, they're going to want to, you know, go back and try to negotiate the price down. Even there's like little things like we just did we sold a rehab a little while back, and the inspector came up with this list, and the buyer is like, we would like a $5,000 credit. Right. I'm like, I can fix this for like $500.
Right.
So I did it for like $500, and they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, we see it all the time.
So like, what are some of those little things that, you know, come up a lot that people can kind of save a lot of money on?
Well, what I'm, and in this, there's a lot of controversy on this, but I really think in other parts of the country, they are doing seller inspections. Sellers are doing their own inspections first, and I think it's just so wise. So it's so wise.
Even if it's like $500.
Yeah, it's only and we can save you so much money because we can give you real facts. Because these people don't know what anything is worth. They're not in the business, so they'll just throw a number. They only have 3 days before, you know, AI period is over to come up with a number. And what do you need really do to come up with a number? You need to send 3 guys in there. You need quotes. They never send quotes, so they're just taking a number from the top of the head, and it's high. And I remember one lady wanted for a couple breakers in the panel that needed to be replaced. She talked to her boyfriend that is an electrician, and she was like, we want $15,000 credit. I go, honey, are you crazy?
Get a whole panel.
I go, you don't need, I could get you the whole house electrical for $15,000. This is just breakers. Oh, okay. So, and people are doing that. But you know, sellers, I don't know why. And a few realtors said, well, if the seller inspects, then that means they have to disclose. Well, what's wrong with that? What is wrong?
What are you trying to hide?
What is wrong with being integrity? What is wrong with selling something and being honest about the condition of the property?
Yeah.
I mean, what's wrong with that? And it's a wrong message, in my opinion, to not encourage it. Let everyone know. Let me know what I'm buying here. Be honest. Disclose that report. And that buyer is going to feel good about buying that property. They're going to have peace of mind. The seller's not hiding anything.
I mean, I feel like the brokers are actually more trying to cover their behind rather than actually covering the seller. Right. Because as a broker, you have to disclose anything and everything that's wrong with the property. If you don't disclose it, then you know, you could get in trouble.
And the other thing too,
if you know.
And the other thing too, because you got your own shop now, right? And you're educating your realtors. A lot of realtors are educating buyers to consider that inspection a tool for renegotiation, which is fine.
Oh, yeah.
But to an extent, because really that report should be, is this house good and safe for you? That's my thing. I mean, don't sell the report because we want to get more money out of the seller. Sell the report, the inspection business or service, because you want to make sure this home is safe. Right. And that's what I'm looking for, safety. I'm not trying to get you a whole lot of money. Whatever that is, whatever the issues are, I'll be honest, and I want to find it, and I will find it. But safety is number one. And so electrical, fire, hazards, plumbing is your number one expense, in my opinion. You know how much plumbing is, right? When you do this plumbing, right? If you have galvanized plumbing system and it's clogged, and your water service coming in from the city, there's an issue. The pipe, clay, was it clay or cast iron is broken. That's a huge $10,000-$15,000 expense. So that's all. So we look for safety and defects, and sell that. And it's because if we do get you that credit you want, that $10,000 credit, well, hello, what are you going to do with it? You're going to spend the money on fixing this safety and defect issue. So what are you really doing? Sell the safety. It's better because then it's like a double-edged sword, because now they complain about some inspectors being too much. We're just detailing everything. Oh, that's a picky inspector. But you hired us to point out all these issues so we can get you guys a big credit. Man. But yet you're complaining that we killed the deal because we pointed out all the issues to get you a big credit. So sell it right. Sell it as a safety and defects. We're protecting the client. We're protecting the buyer. That's what we're doing. We're letting the buyer know the conditions of the property so they can make a right choice.
Yeah.
And integrity goes a long way. If this is not the right property, we find another.
No, I agree totally. I feel like that's a good point to make.
Yeah.
Like, if you're selling your property, obviously you need an appraisal or something like that. Right. But then you should also get it inspected.
Exactly.
That way you don't get hit with a bunch of buyers wanting credits, and you can fix some of the things rather easily. what are some of those things though, like that you see that can be fixed maybe $100-$300 instead of, you know,
that comes up
like he was saying, like the gutters or like,
the gutters,
you know, little
huge.
things like
gutters
that.
is like $7 to get an extension.
Right.
I mean, it's really a lot. Every report I see that. I see a lot on the water heaters. People got to pay attention to water heaters, and we really go through. I go through the maintenance of everything. You know, so I teach people. Do you know that you're supposed to drain your water heater every year?
No.
You're supposed to drain it.
I knew that, but nobody does it.
Nobody does it.
We had a rental for 3 years and we never did it.
Yeah, so I teach them that. So I show them how. And I go through the whole house, the roof, the power vents. I like power vents because as soon as you hit 72 degrees, it turns on and it sucks out the heat air, and you keep your attic cool in the summer. Your roof will last longer. But your question is, what are the things that I see that are cheap?
Yeah, little things.
Your windows. I mean, they should. I have a checklist, and what I do with sellers is I give them, or the realtors. I educate the realtors to educate their sellers. I give them a checklist, and just go through like the windows, the caulking in the bathrooms. And underneath all your plumbing, we don't want to see any openings where the plumbing penetrations are.
Right.
We don't want water. If that sink leaks, you're going to get water behind that sink wall, and you're going to create mold, and you're going to damage that wood. So caulk it. It's only a tube of caulk will do the whole house.
Right.
You know, do all the plumbing underneath all your sinks and make sure that there's no openings there. That's one of the cheapest things you can do. Your lights, please make sure all the light bulbs are in there. If a light bulb's not working, I don't know if it's a light bulb, and I don't know if it's a fixture issue.
Right, you flip the switch. You don't know if it's you don't know if it's not connected. You don't know if there's something broken.
If that bulb is gone, please just put the bulbs in there. Make sure that they're working. So covers. That's a big one. Well, that's a little one, but it's a big one. So
plate cover?
In your closets, you have an exposed light bulb, right? Mm-hmm. And what do they have in the closet? They have clothes. They have shelves with boxes and clothes that are really, really like this, a half an inch close to that light bulb. That's a fire hazard. You know, so you need to cover those light bulbs and make sure that they're not close to boxes and clothes that can start a fire.
That's a good point. Mm-hmm. Never thought of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so
nobody does.
Yeah, nobody does. Yeah. That's what we're here for. Little things, but again, we're looking for safety. We're not being picky or trying to kill any deals. No, we just want to make sure that this client is safe and they know, and we educate them.
It's like one thing that I see in almost every house too is like the weather strip in the garage. You know, like there's that, like right when the garage door closes, there's that little rubber thing that goes under there, and like almost every single house, they have like a big gaps, you know, and that can allow, you know, vermin, water, you know, they say rats. Rats, like, and mice, they can actually fit into anything the thickness of a nickel. So you like put a nickel sideways, that's how small they can go. Wow, you know what I mean? Yeah. So if there's any type of gap, they're going to go in there. And mice, especially here in Chicago, when it gets nice and cold, they like to live in your cars. Right. You know, they'll go into your dashboard and they'll be living in your car, eating up your wires, and that's it. Your car's gone, you know, just because of the $12 weather strip. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of little things that can really help you out down the road, you know, especially when it comes to keeping outside elements outside, you know.
Since let's kind of shift a little bit here, and want to ask you a few things. Since you've been a broker for 17 years now, what are some of the things that you would advise somebody newer in real estate to kind of get their career and as a broker going?
Be honest. You know, if you don't know something, you know, say, I'm not sure, but I'll find out. You know, so just
people are scared of saying that they don't know, but I'm like, it literally does not hurt you at all. Because if you say the wrong thing, then somebody's going to catch you. It's even worse.
Don't underestimate the intelligence of anybody. You know, don't underestimate. You know, yesterday, I got tested twice.
And you can tell when somebody's lying, too.
I got tested. An adjuster called me to do a commercial inspection for him. And we went, he was like, I want to go up the roof with you. So I usually don't let people go up, but it was a flat roof. So I let him come up the roof.
It's dangerous.
And he was in the electrical panel with me. He was everywhere with me. And at the end, this guy has a roofer license. Adjusters, he's an adjuster. He knows a lot of this. And he was really testing me to hire me, to offer me a position, you know? Yeah, so we could test it a lot. And then the next inspection I had, and we went through the electrical panel, later he exposed that he's a licensed electrician, but he doesn't say anything. But they test us a lot, and I love that. But don't underestimate the intelligence of anybody you're speaking to, because they'll know. A lot of us know, and I do this all the time. I will ask you a question that I know because I want to see how you answer. Can I work with him? Can I trust him?
Yeah, I should have just said I have no idea.
Yeah, exactly. It's better than lying.
I don't know.
It's better than lying.
I'm just going to tell you I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's fine. I mean, you're not going to know everything.
Yeah. So remember that our job, this business, is a volume. We want to last. We want referrals. We rely on repetitive business. We want that person to refer the brother, the mother, the sister. And you got to take care of everyone really well every step of the way. Everyone you meet, you just got to do some good, protect them and listen to them, but be honest.
What about on the sales side of the business?
That is the sales side of the business.
No, like how to grow or how to work with, how to work your database, how to grow your database, and things like that.
Yeah. So now it's a little different, because when I started, we didn't have social media. So now it's a little different.
I have no idea what I would do.
Yeah, but I know people that are very successful that are still sending those calendars every year. Yeah, and they're still doing things the old school way, and they're still passing out flyers door to door and knocking on doors. And there's a market for those people too. There is. So there's a lot of ways of doing things. I prefer social media. So all the business I get from LinkedIn or Facebook. And I do a couple of old school things because I do, present to real estate offices, and I offer education, for free. I mean, I can come in and do a lunch and learn or help you with a home buyer seminar, and
you just did a seminar, right?
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
Did you talk about inspections on it?
Yeah, I did. And every time I speak of home inspection, it's like the people want to speak more about renovation and consultation and rehabs and flipping, because I guess my social media on the flips that I've done, did well. When I marketed, and so the topic always comes up. So in the next buyer seminar, we're going to have a little piece on flipping and rehabbing.
Okay.
Nice.
What was it? What else I was going to ask? Do you want to go into the questions? They're over there. So we have a set of questions, just random questions that we ask you. Okay. But I wanted to ask you something else, but I forgot.
You'll remember.
I'll remember somehow in the middle through the questions.
Yeah. It's just so much, right? Real estate. It's so broad.
It's just so much
you could go
stuff to talk about, but then you forget everything that you want to say. Oh, I was going to ask you. There we go. See? Now that we're getting ready for the questions, I remember what I want to ask. How do you... The family side of the business, it can be very hard for some people to work with family. How do you guys spend so much time together, and how do you handle having a family business? Because I know for some people, I mean, I don't know if I can do it with my dad, things like that. Like, how does that work between you guys? How is the chemistry? Like, how do you guys spend so much time together? Because I feel like some people don't want to be close to their parents that much.
Yeah, I know.
But you guys are all together all the time.
But I'm the mom, so that's an easy question for me. I mean, I believe that I'm living any regular mom's dream,
right?
To work with your children and have them close to you every day. That's something you got to answer.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Sorry.
Yeah. I don't know. With us, it's like sometimes it doesn't feel like we're mother and son. Like when we're out there, we feel like we're friends. When we're partners, we just work together. So. I mean, it's weird. Like that's the first time I've had that question. You know what I mean? So it's like, wow. Like I don't really realize it like that. Like,
I mean, when you hang out with your dad, Matt, you guys don't even talk.
Yeah, we do. Just cuss each other out.
Yeah, we just argue the entire time.
And I guess it's because I remember they were raised working with me. So they were born into it, literally.
Yeah, I remember when we were kids, me and my sister, we would have to tag along to her, her showings and stuff. Mm-hmm. And me and my sister used to play a game. We'd walk around the house and we would try to come up with a backstory to the people that were living there. You know what I mean? So because it was back in it would be an old house with 60s or 70s furniture, and we'd try to be oh yeah, some old lady lives here that and we would just come up with crazy stories for them, and then on the way home we would compare the stories that we came up with. So it was just something that that we just grew up on, and I just I can't do anything else. That's the problem. Like I've tried getting other jobs and working, you know, like and doing stores and like and trying to come up with other jobs, and like I've done everything. You know, I was a car salesman. You know, I sold retail. You know, even like I was even custodian for CPS for a while. And then just like having another boss just didn't work out, man. Like I couldn't do it. And then I always ended up coming back, you know, and then and I'm like, you know what, that's it. I'm staying here and we're building this together and we're gonna do it.
And I think also I treat them like partners. I don't treat them like children in the field, you know, so their input is really important to me. And I devoted, again, a divorce made this real estate and this family business happen, and I devoted my life to my career and my children. So we just have that going on.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Happy for you guys. Because I feel like when I'm alone with my dad, we just don't talk at all. He's really quiet. He just sits there and nobody says anything. Let's go into the questions.
Baxtie, to what do you attribute your success?
To what do I? You should have.
Yeah, some of these are very deep.
See these. Yeah. To what do I attribute my success? My drive, my passion, the whole. I'm sorry that I go back to that, but it's a big part of my life. But the whole divorce and, you know, got me so close to my children and you know, the act of survival and just want to do the best for them. And this business, I want them to take over. I want them to just take it to the next level. So that's my dream for the future. But yeah.
Have you ever turned down a client? I'm sure you have. If so, why?
Absolutely. I'm sorry. I have. Sometimes they're not realistic. You know, oh my God, and I don't feel happy about it because realtors, we want to please people. We are people pleasers, right? Most of us. And when I have to turn someone down because they're not reasonable, I did have to get myself off of a permit because I had an unreasonable client that wanted 24/7 workers. And, you know, inhumane, unreasonable, and I can't. I'm not.
24/7.
Literally.
I mean, it's not even
the
legal.
person literally said, I thought you were going to have people here 24/7. You promised. No, I didn't. You know, I'll never promise.
It's not even legal
It's
to
not.
do that.
It's inhumane. So when you we always do.
It's too loud. Like
it's even that.
Yeah, and I even had agents say, "Oh, I thought you were gonna, you know, work for me 24/7." Every time they use that word, I'm like, "That's a client that I don't want to work for anymore." Because come on, yes, I'm there for you in the evenings and the weekends, but I am a mom too.
Yeah,
I have children too, just like you, and so we have to respect each other. So when I come across a client that's not reasonable, I let them go. Mm-hmm.
What was the worst piece of advice that you ever got?
Let's see. Let me think about that one. In the sales business, we get a lot of bad advice because we are sold, and I can't give you exactly one, but when you are taught to sell this as an item, as a product, that's just not who we are as a realtors. I think we're really here to help buyers find their home where they're going to have memories, and you have to just pay attention and care about that a little bit more. Yeah. But when you start real estate, they really teach you on sell. It's about commission and it's about dollars, and I think the focus is in the wrong place, and that's why a lot of people fail.
It's about a relationship and not a transaction.
It definitely is, yeah.
What is your best hiring tip or secret?
It's to me, it's all about character, and anyone can be taught anything. If you have the right character and the positive energy, I'm willing to teach you. I am.
What about for hiring contractors?
Same thing. About honesty, and you can feel it. You can tell when you write up that contract and they ask for X amount of dollars. I mean, right there, you're not reasonable.
Yeah.
I mean, you should not try to get $50,000 from a client before a permit is issued or anything like that. You're not doing anything but getting permits, right?
Yeah.
So if you're trying to do that and always asking for a large sum of money, I'd be aware of that.
What do you wish you knew before you got started?
I don't know. I think everything I had to know. I had to go through experiences to get here. So there's no other way around it.
What is one thing that you find to be true that most people would disagree with?
Realtors are not crooks.
Oh my God! Let's go back to that. So that's
when I tell you. When I tell you that, be honest. And one of the things that in history, we have a bad reputation out there because they think we're after the money. And I think there's those few little realtors out there that are truly after just making a big buck that don't last. They don't last 17 years in the business, I guarantee you. But they do make a little bad name for us.
And they're all not dumb either. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about that because before we got started, 3 or 4 years ago, we had George Cuevas speak at one of our events.
Yeah.
And you jumped in at the time when he was like
on the Facebook Live.
On Facebook Live.
I'm sorry.
And he said something about realtors being idiots, and then you went off on him.
I did. I hate when anyone bad raps realtors. I'm managing broker. I look at me. I was about to say I raised a lot of realtors. I trained a lot of realtors, so I have a lot of love for my realtors. And so when I logged on, and I liked him a lot. I did, and I logged on and I started hearing him say things like realtors are dumb, and this is advice to investors and buyers, and he was teaching them how to market without a realtor. Yeah. And no, those realtors are stupid and whatever. And I said, what? I was on Facebook. What are you talking about?
He was talking about the ones that you're talking about, that they're not honest, that they're not doing the right things for their clients.
He's talking about the 80%.
The 80% of like brokers that.
I didn't hear that part. So I just said, whoa. He came in, like, out of I'm sorry. I'm sorry, George. I'm sorry.
After that, we stopped Facebook Live.
Yeah, and I totally blocked him, and I don't want to see him anymore. And I just stopped loving him. And I think I even told a lot of people about this.
He said you emailed all his friends.
I emailed everybody. I'm sorry, but I just do defend realtors. And again, when I'm in the inspector forum and I see the complaints of realtors, when inspectors complain about realtors, I defend them big time. And it's all about communication. I mean, inspectors got to learn how to communicate better, and realtors got to learn how to communicate. And no bad rapping anybody. It only makes you look bad.
He just moved to San Diego, and he told me it was because of you.
Yeah, right. He's all right. So I thought about him lately, and I said, you know what, one day. But now he's gone, so I don't have to call him.
Got chased out by the weather.
Okay.
He's a smart man.
Question. Do you have a favorite failure? Is there one that set you up for future success?
Do I have a favorite?
Favorite failure or like an apparent failure?
Yeah, so many failures that we go through to succeed, right?
Is there one that sticks in your mind where you're like, man, I did that, but it taught me this because I did that so hard?
I really don't have one. I'm sorry, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of failures to get to where you are, and they're stepping stones, and they teach you. Which one taught me the biggest lesson? I just change. I mean, I move Highland.
The contractor in Highland.
Yeah, but that's why I'm here. I mean, so when I started flipping properties and hiring wrong contractors and trusting contractors and not getting the right deposit and the right contract in order, not checking for their background and making sure that they have the licenses, there's a lot of that going on, And they don't even...
There's a lot of borrowing licenses.
So it's all, so I guess that would be my biggest, my favorite failure because it brought me here today. So that's why I'm good at what I'm doing because of my experience. So I teach, and I educate that, and I post that. A lot of times I'll post my failures and I'll say, listen guys, I did this just like 2 weeks ago. I posted about a rehab that I purchased 3 years ago. And had I inspected that property, I would have known we needed, insulation in the attic, and the rafters were 2x4 rafters. So you know what that means, right? We need foam insulation. Yeah. We can't use bats. And foam insulation is really expensive, and that ate up a good portion of my profit. So we learn from our failures, and it's a good thing.
I agree. Yeah. Last question. Why do you do what you do? What gets you through the tough times?
My children gets me through the tough times, and I do everything I do because of them. And I love it, and I'm passionate about my work. I really love my work, and I hope they learn, and they do love it as much as I do, because I think that if you love what you do, you'll be good at it. So, but I love every part of real estate. I can't say I just love sales or teaching realtors or rehabbing or inspecting. I just love real estate.
Okay. Where could people get a hold of you for inspection, for consulting, Do you have different
Just
sites?
two things. Inspection and consulting is all I'm doing. I do still flip. If I get if it's downtime and someone wants me to pick up that project, maybe. It depends on the project, but I'm not focusing on that. I'm just consulting and home inspecting. 1-866 for Baxtie is my direct office number.
Like 1-866 number 4 and then Baxtie. What is that?
Oh, Michael. Son?
See, that's what I mean. Like, people actually have to look it up.
Letters aren't on phones anymore. How do I figure that out?
Yeah, they're not.
It's 1-866 for 229-843. 1-866-422-9843.
And then that's for the consulting?
Yeah, for both.
They can go on there?
Yeah, and also anyone can book me online. My calendar's live. And so that's www.baxhomeinspectors.youcanbook.me. So we can, and I want to say one more thing. I'm doing a coat drive. This is my 5th year that I'm doing this coat drive. And we are collecting coat drive. Okay. So we collect coats, new and used, lightly used coats and we deliver them to the homeless. And I think we're going to go to some assisted living for the elderly this year.
Okay.
So we collect them and we deliver them, and whatever is left, because a couple years ago we collected over 400 coats.
Oh, wow.
So we don't deliver them all. We send them to a warmcoat.org. It's an organization that distributes for us. For every service you hire us for, consultation or home inspection, we are buying a brand new coat and delivering it to a homeless person. So if this is the time for, being thankful for what we do. Yeah. It's cold outside, and we sell them warm homes, then we got to keep the homeless warm too. So if anyone knows anybody, any family or child or elderly that needs a coat, give us a call. We want to help them.
Same number?
Yeah. And, or Facebook me, I'm everywhere, Instagram, LinkedIn. So if they want to donate, give us a call. We have 4 different locations. I'll post that on Facebook today. I'm so grateful for the real estate offices that are supporting this event, and we can give them their addresses and they can drop off there as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Really appreciate you giving us your time for doing this.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Till next time, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.
And that's it for another episode of the podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. One last thing before you head off though. Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave us your thoughts on iTunes. It would really mean a lot and help us reach more people. You can also find us on Facebook at Profits Over Wages Podcast, as well as on Instagram and YouTube. Until next time.